Have you ever watched someone you love cry and felt your heart break for them, only to realize later their tears were for someone else? The crystal glass of champagne felt cold in my hand, a stark contrast to the warmth of the candlelit booth at Gibson's Bar and Steakhouse on Rush Street. It was our 10th anniversary. Chloe was crying, her shoulders shaking silently. She dabbed at her eyes with a napkin, mascara smudging just slightly. "It's just so much," she whispered, her voice thick with emotion. 10 years, Alex. It's beautiful. I reached across the table and took her hand, my thumb stroking her knuckles. I thought I was comforting my wife, who was overwhelmed by a decade of love. I had no idea I was comforting a woman who was mourning the end of an affair, a decision forced upon her that very afternoon. My life was a lie, and the proof was sitting right there in her tears. If you genuinely enjoy our stories, please subscribe to the channel. Tell us where you're from and what time it is right now. It's always fascinating to know how far our story flows. The first crack in the facade appeared not with a bang, but with a whisper of changed behavior. It was the little things. The way her phone, once left casually on the kitchen counter, was now perpetually screened down or in her pocket. The late-night work emergencies for her marketing job became more frequent, her explanations vague and hurried. She started talking about a new colleague, Julian, a creative genius who was helping her with a big campaign. His name was dropped with a casualness that felt rehearsed. She'd come home smelling of a cologne that wasn't mine, a faint, musky scent I'd later learn belonged to a boutique hotel in the West Loop. The intimacy between us, once a warm and easy current, grew sluggish and then cold. When I'd reach for her at night, she'd flinch, murmuring she was tired or had a headache. She was building a wall, brick by invisible brick, and I was on the outside, too foolishly in love to see it. The slow discovery was a death by 1,000 cuts. It started with a credit card statement. A charge for $200 at a place called the Alice, a swanky lounge I knew she disliked. When I asked, she waved it off. "Oh, I took a client there. You know how it is?" But I didn't. Then came the phone bill. Dozens of calls and hundreds of texts to a number I didn't recognize, often late at night, sometimes for over an hour. My heart hammered against my ribs as I keyed the number into a search engine. The result was a LinkedIn profile. Julian Croft, Senior Art Director, the creative genius, the man from her office. The pieces began to click into place with a sickening finality. She became a master of manipulation, turning my questions back on me. "Why are you so insecure, Alex? Don't you trust me?" She'd say it with such wounded indignation that I'd almost believe her, my own mind twisting into knots of guilt and suspicion. The woman I married was disappearing, replaced by a cold, calculating stranger. They grew arrogant, feeling untouchable in their bubble of deceit. I once came home early and heard them through the slightly ajar bedroom door. Her laughter, a high, giddy sound I hadn't heard in months, followed by his low murmur. "He has no idea," Julian said, his voice dripping with smug satisfaction. "He's just so predictable." Chloe's reply was a dagger to my soul. "I know, it's almost sad." Sad. That's what I was to her. A sad, predictable obstacle. That was the moment the loyal, loving husband died. I backed away from the door, a ghost in my own home, and retreated to the basement. I sat in the dark, the concrete floor cold beneath me, and I shattered. The sobs came from a place so deep I didn't recognize the sound. It was a raw, animalistic grief for the death of my marriage, for the woman I thought I knew, for the man I used to be. When the tears stopped, something new took their place. Cold, hard resolve. The breakdown was over. Strategic war was about to begin. I became a meticulous archivist of her betrayal. I installed recovery software on our shared computer, pulling deleted texts that painted a vivid picture of their affair, explicit details, pet names, their shared contempt for me. I hired a private investigator, a grizzled ex-cop, who provided me with a portfolio of photographs. Chloe and Julian kissing in a parking garage on Lower Wacker Drive, checking into the Thompson Chicago, holding hands over brunch. I opened a new bank account and began quietly moving my assets. I met with the best divorce attorney in Chicago, a shark named Ms. Albright, who laid out the legal framework for my revenge. The plan was a series of traps, legal and social, each one designed to dismantle the life she had built on a foundation of lies. The public exposure was set for the annual company gala. The very event where her big campaign, the one she'd worked on with Julian, was being celebrated. I knew she'd be there, basking in the glory. I also knew her deeply religious and image-obsessed parents would be there, flown in as her proud guests. I arranged for a server, for a handsome fee, to replace the corporate sizzle reel with a video of my own. As Chloe and Julian took the stage to accept their award, the screens behind them flickered. Instead of corporate logos, it was a photo of them kissing in the parking garage. Then another of them entering the hotel. Then came the text messages, blown up for all 300 attendees to see. "He's so predictable. Can't wait to be free of him." A collective gasp filled the ballroom. I watched from the back as the color drained from Chloe's face. Her mother let out a small, horrified cry. Her father just stared, his face a mask of stone. Julian froze, a coward caught in the headlights. The CEO, a man who valued his company's family-friendly image above all else, was already striding toward the stage, his expression thunderous. Their careers were over in an instant. The legal fallout was just as devastating. Thanks to the ironclad proof of infidelity in my careful financial planning, the divorce was swift and brutal. The prenuptial agreement held, but Ms. Albright used the morality clause and the very public humiliation to ensure I kept the house, the savings, and my dignity. Chloe was left with nothing but her shame and a mountain of legal bills. Her parents, mortified, refused to speak to her. Her friends, disgusted by the depth of her deception, abandoned her. She was ruined, a social and financial pariah. I sold the house on Rush Street. The memories were too heavy. Sometimes, late at night in my new, sterile apartment overlooking the Chicago River, I think about that anniversary dinner. I think about her tears and the chilling realization that they were never for me. The silence in my new life is vast, but it's an honest silence. The end.